Thank you for joining us today. I'm Caitlin Buckley and I will be the moderator for today. Please note the event is being recorded. In a moment, I will turn the Zoom over to President Sisson. During today's presentation, chat will be disabled so that we can focus on the information being shared. If during the presentation you think of a question, please feel free to jot it down. Once the presentation has ended, we will move into a Q&A period. At this time, chat will be opened and you can raise your hand to ask your question. You can also type your question into the chat box. Questions typed into the chat will be read aloud and we will address as many questions as time permits in the order they are received. Phil?
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Caitlin. Thank you everyone for attending. This is our last critical conversation of the spring semester, and also an important one. We've talked about some major issues that are happening at the college, including some of the facilities planning that we're doing, but most importantly, this opportunity to talk about the college's front door and the website and how we utilize the portal, the website, and our technology tools to really attract individuals to the institution is going to be an important conversation today. So I thank you in advance for your participation. Can we flip up a couple of those slides, Beth? Just reminder notices about some things that are coming up. It's a busy time of year for all of us, especially for faculty. A number of celebratory events are coming, including the opportunity to talk about sort of the week of commencement. Nope, it's okay. We can bop back. We don't have to go in any chronological order. Are you going to do this first? We'll do it first. There we go. So the week of commencement. So of course we have our health fitting ceremony at 4 p.m. that's going to be happening over at the auditorium. And then of course we have that evening, the evening of excellence at 6:30. Two great opportunities to celebrate with students about their accomplishments. And then on Thursday, obviously, commencement at 10 a.m. in the auditorium. We certainly want to continue to celebrate our retirees. So that's coming up next week. This was originally scheduled for Bedford, but we wanted to really create a more intimate environment. So we moved it to the Nesmith House. And so we want to celebrate all of those folks that you know are there. They're honored because of their commitment to the institution and all of their sort of not only accomplishments, but their contributions to the work here at the college. It's really important for all of us to celebrate together. So we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock at the Nesmith House. And the last would be, certainly, we know we have another couple of big college advancement events that are coming up. Tuesday of next week is also National Teacher Appreciation Day, and there's an opportunity for people to sort of reach out and thank the faculty members and teachers that have made a difference in their lives and their time here at the college. And you'll hear more about that from Advancement, but also the Celebrity Forum with the Temptations and the Four Tops that will be happening on May 16th. And then you'll also see from Advancement in the week of May 22nd, which is our commencement week, an opportunity to really honor our students and our graduates, to provide a massive effort to do $23 for 2023 for that graduating class. So at this point, I want to thank you again all for your time. We're going to do some brief presentations, as is usually the format, and then we will open it up to comments and concerns and criticisms, and a chance for us to really talk about the work going forward. In all cases, I want to thank any faculty and staff who have been working on RAP and several other focus groups, and people who have been lending their opinions and their thoughts to a lot of the efforts around the college's website. And also, I want to thank Ellen for just the tremendous work that she did in the presentation about the portal at our recent professional day. I think a lot of people in the room got to see exactly what that portal was going to look like and get a good understanding of how that change was going to happen. And I hope you'll get more of that today. So at this point, I'll turn it back over to Beth.
Thank you, Phil. Let me just open this up here. And let me start by saying, may the 4th be with you all. I am a geek, and so I did have to recognize this very special day in Star Wars canon. And I did get a nice little "May the 4th be with you" welcome from Michael when he entered. So thank you so much for that. Let me advance here. So today's topics, we're going to be talking about the internet, the portal, and the intranet. I'm just going to go over a quick functional overview so that we all have an understanding of exactly what is what. And then my friends in IT, Ellen and Promote, are going to be talking more about the portal and the phone system. I have phone twice. That's how important it is. And then we'll talk about the website audit. So I'll give you an update of where, what we have been doing with RAP in the last semester and a half. We had an appraisal done. What are we doing well? Where can we improve? And then some projections and some next steps. So first off, really our digital landscape is broken into three pieces. So we have the public facing internet. We have the MyMCC portal with a screenshot of what it currently looks like. And then we have what is the intranet content. So the student and employee content that doesn't need to be seen by the external audiences, right? And Ellen will talk a little bit more about this when she talks about the portal, but this is just to give you a quick overview of what each of these different pieces of digital real estate do for the institution. So the public facing internet, that is what is there for prospects, applicants, donors, employers, and community partners. This is what they're going to be looking at to make a decision about whether or not to engage in a relationship with our institution. And then MyMCC portal, and then our intranet content, that is our internal organizational digital real estate. And I've just listed here what both of those do. And now I will turn it over to Ellen to talk about the portal.
Great, thank you, Beth. Thanks everybody for giving me a few minutes during the critical conversations time. This slide that you're looking at now is pretty much the same information that Beth just went over to a certain degree, just sort of explaining the difference between the internet and the intranet. The internet being our public-facing MCC website and its purposes, as Beth described. The intranet basically comprising mainly of the MyMCC portal, but also, you know, internal SharePoint sites and other tools. You could even maybe lump Blackboard into that realm of intranet, where basically anything you need to sign into is sort of a demarcation point for what's external and internal. If you could go to the next slide, Beth, thank you. So our new MyMCC portal, you have probably all received some communications in recent weeks. They'll continue until our go live date, which is Friday, May 26th. And some of you also, as Phil mentioned, attended a large professional day session that was all about the new portal. And so just to give you, for those who may be unfamiliar or just want some more information, our current portal, soon to be our old portal, is decades old. It's on decades old technology that is getting increasingly difficult to manage and maintain and keep up. It's non-responsive, so viewing it on a small screen or a large screen poses problems. It's non-ADA compliant, which is always a problem. And again, very it's hanging on by some threads here. And we had, just for those of you who didn't attend the professional day or haven't seen any of the news messages about the new portal, a lot of people got a sneak peek in a live way when our current portal went down about a month or so ago, and it was down for about a day and a half. And so we fortunate in a way that we had this new portal sort of waiting in the wings to quickly deploy, so people could continue and not be interrupted in their work to gain access to their email, the Blackboard, to Banner, all the things we do every day that we need access to. So a lot of people sort of got the sneak peek at that point. And there was a lot of good feedback, actually, even though that was sort of a negative situation where our portal went down. It's always stressful and frustrating. But in the end, it was sort of a happy ending in the sense that it was not an expected way to get some feedback, but we got some positive feedback. The service desk did not receive a ton of calls. We were sort of bracing for that. People got on there and quickly figured out on their own what they needed to do and were uninterrupted in many ways, which was a great test and a great conclusion to that event. So we've got the old portal and all that goes with it. So we've we're going to deploy this new portal, which is very user-friendly, as I described. It's responsive, so it views extremely well on a very small screen as well as an extremely large screen, which is, when you're doing a presentation in a big room, you want it to present in a certain way that way. And it's very customizable, which was a real key feature we wanted to have in a new portal, something that people always asked for through the decades on the old portal, which had its limitations. So in this new portal environment, you'll see on the screenshot there, and you can certainly go to the URL that's at the top, and if you haven't been there yet, to check it out live. You can, first of all, I'll point out that it's a search first kind of philosophy with this portal. Search, is key even in the internet world. We all use the word Google. I'm going to Google it. That's how ingrained and embedded the search mindset is online. And so search is very front and center on our portal. So you can certainly search for anything on there and find it easily and quickly. But you will be presented with a certain amount of tiles, if you will, I'm calling them, when you first log in, but you can rearrange things. You can favorite any of these items. You can search for something and then favorite it using the little heart icon in the corner. You can also rearrange the layout. There's a setting on the left-hand side where you can have your favorites be at the top or in the middle or at the bottom, and have other items you can reposition. And then even within those groups of favorites or other sort of sections, you can reposition the items within that section. So it can truly be the way works best for you, and everybody's will be different, I'm sure. You can also, there's on each tile and next to the heart, there's the little eye or information symbol. And you can, we're still building things out, so you may not see information on every single tile, but you can see information about what that task or tile means. It may not be obvious to everybody, or there may be additional information in there. You can also, in your top right corner where your name is, you can set other preferences in there as well. So it's, again, very user-friendly, very customizable. You'll be able to receive alerts and notifications just like we do on the current portal where, the school's closed or some other emergency situation. You can also, and this goes for all constituencies, students, faculty, and staff, you can rate or review. You'll see the star symbols on each tile. You can give it a rating. You can write a review. And about that, we'll see how that pans out as time marches on. And as you do start using this portal, whether it's now or you wait till it goes live on May 26th, you can always send us any feedback or suggestions or ideas or whatever through the service desk email, and we will address it at that point. And that's pretty much all I have for this topic.
Great. Thank you so much, Ellen. Pramod, I'm going to turn this over to you. And those that are listening, if you have questions about the portal, oh, my screen disappeared.
And Beth, can you just stay on the screen just for a second?
Yes, it disappeared on me, Pramod, so I have to try and figure out where it went.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop share and reshare because I don't know where it went. All right. Okay. So if you have questions about the portal, just save them and Ellen can answer them after we open up the Q&A.
Beth, can you please go back to that last slide? Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pramod Bharadwaj, interim CIO and President Sisson. Thank you for sharing time from your meeting with the IT department. As Ellen went over to the new portal, one thing I just want to point out, if you guys haven't noticed, that we are also not only changing the portal, but we're also changing the URL for the portal. As you can see, it's not mymcc.middlesex.mass.edu, it's middlesex.edu. So I just wanted to point that out. So I would like to just share some info regarding the current and projects in the near future the IT department is working on. And one is that you have seen migrating the portal to the new portal. And second project is migrating our on-premise phone system to the cloud. So with this new phone system, as you can see, you should be able to call or receive phone calls from anywhere, on-site, off-site, on the road, from the car. Send or receive faxes from anywhere, send or receive text or SMS from anywhere. Beth, can you go advanced? So this is the phone system we will be using. We are using Avaya on site right now or on premise, but new system or new phone system is called Avaya Cloud Office, ACO. So it has three kind of ways you can use it. Using the application, it's a standalone phone application that you can install on your mobile devices, including mobile like iPads and stuff. You can have phone application that can install on your desktop, laptop, and obviously a physical desk phone. And with the new phone system, we also get these three features: chats, SMS, and fax. So you can receive those using any of the application, either desktop one or the mobile one. You can also receive fax. Everybody can receive or send faxes from your own phone. So hopefully we can just get rid of the physical fax machines all over the campus. And obviously faxes, you can send it using email or the desktop or mobile application. So you can do those from anywhere else. And as we go forward with this project, it's still in like halfway done. Hopefully we will be able to finish this by end of this month or first week of June. This project is going to happen in phases. So like we will replace phones in different buildings or different floors. So people won't be without phones while we are doing the whole campus. And one neat feature about this is if you are not on campus, you can still activate your phone, because once we go live, you will receive an email to activate your new phone system, and then you can use it even from home at that time. You don't have to wait for your phone to be switched over. And that is all I have for the phone system. I also want to mention that we are also working, it's an initial phases, but we will be migrating our email, staff and faculty email to Office 365. And as we move forward, we will share more information with you guys through email or through newscaster. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pramod. All right, so I'm just going to jump in right now to the audit of our website. I want to give you guys as much information as it makes sense, and make sure that this process was transparent to everyone at the college. And first, let me just acknowledge the RAP team. We started during COVID, and so some players have changed over the handful of months we've been working on this. But this is a group that has been meeting. They've been meeting with the consultant. They've been meeting with me. We are together as a group actively making decisions about what makes the best sense for this project going forward. And I wouldn't be able to do any of this work without all of their assistance. This is that core team. We do have a support team set up that was engaged in the beginning. And then while the audit was happening, some of them were also participating in that. And then we will be pulling them back in for the next phase. So if you were on one of the support teams, don't worry, we will be reaching back out to you over the summer and in the fall. So we started by hiring an external consultant from the higher education industry. He formerly worked at Ruffalo Noel Levitz as the VP for digital marketing and website development. So this was his bailiwick. This is what he is good at. And we were able to, thanks to Phil, engage in a really comprehensive contract with him where he would do a very significant digital environmental review of our website. And that he would also remain on contract with us after the audit so that he can continue to advise us as we generate a statement of work and an RFP for this project going forward. So he started by doing, well, first he met with the RAP team multiple times, also engaged in stakeholder and support team interviews. These were one-on-one interviews. He also did a competitor website user experience evaluation, search engine optimization evaluation, and a social media evaluation. And here's the list of the folks that he met with on his one-to-one interviews. And he was very happy and pleased with these interviews because at the end, he said it's not often where he'll be at an institution where everyone he speaks to is pretty much on the same page. And so you all were in agreement that we needed a new site. Y'all were in agreement about the importance of the site and what it needs to be used for. And he said that that's not always the case at higher ed institutions. For our competitor site user experience evaluation, he looked at 5 different schools. This list of competitors was drafted by the RAP core team in consultation with President's Leadership Council. Our direct competitors were Bunker Hill, Northern Essex, and UML, and our aspirational competitors, SNHU and San Antonio College, which is an Aspen winner. And in this evaluation, he looked at 25 different website user characteristics across all 5 of those institutions' websites and compared it with ours. So he was evaluating and auditing 6 separate sites. And I'm not going to read these. I'll just leave this up and the next slide up for a minute for you guys just to get a sense of the areas of the web experience that he was looking at critically. And then finally, after he pulled all this information together, he had his audit, he had multiple meetings with the RAP group, the individual stakeholder interviews, and then all of the data that we captured at the listening sessions that we had last fiscal year when we first started this process. He used all of that to create an executive summary for Phil and President's Leadership Council, and then also a 52-page comprehensive document. And I think my RAP folks will say it was a lot to read. It was a big document, but very, very informative. Our key findings of our content appraisal is that our admissions content needs streamlining and enhancement. And our financial aid content needs some enhancing and demystifying. And remember, the purpose of the internet is that it's externally focused. This is our chance to make things as clear and understandable as possible for prospective students. That's first and foremost. So those 2 areas are areas that we need to be focusing on. We also need to work on making our copy more benefit focused. And so that means, you know, what's in it for me as the user. So it needs to be written from a you lens instead of the student lens. A lot of our content is written at an advanced level and we don't actually speak to the reader. So that's something that our competitor sites were doing in some cases better than us. Better integration of student stories and diversity on campus is needed. And then, again, making sure that our content is truly focused on an external audience. The piece of the audit that was, to me, one of the most important is this realization that we really don't have any sort of SEO optimization, and that stands for search engine optimization. And this is the keywording, tagging, and the scientific placement of keywords in our content on our pages to enhance our college's ability to rate higher in organic rankings. And compared to our competitors, we did fall dead last in this category. If we look at the design and functionality of our site and the appraisal, top of the list again is the SEO piece. So not only is our content impacting SEO, but also is our site's functionality, like our navigation, the names of pages that we use, that 12-character limit for any of you that have made your own pages in the past. That 12 characters is impacting our SEO. So that's something we have to work on. Our search tool visibility and functionality needs attention. Ellen mentioned this when she was talking about the portal. We are, as a collective people on this planet, we are Google people. We like to search. So that is something that we need to address. We need to look at our navigation and our information architecture, and it needs to be rebuilt. Our current site was created from the site that existed pre-2012. And was just put into a new shell with not as much attention put on the user journey and the user pathway on the site. So we have a lot of pages that live in strange places or don't connect where they should connect in a user's mind. So we need to look at that. We need to leverage more imagery and videos, and our mobile site experience needs to be better. Overall, our audit came back with 25 areas where we can make changes and improve the user experience. About 75% of our current content is outdated. It's information that's really intended for current students or employees only. There's no call to action, so we don't give anyone anything to do. And probably the most troublesome is that the content is really there as historical reference. Like, we're using it as a place to house information on a grant we got 10 years ago that is no longer active, but that's where the information on the grant lives, and we don't know where else to put it. He did say when he met with RAP to do, we had a 3-hour debrief where we analyzed all of the content that was in the appraisal. He did say that things are not as bad as we might feel they are, or they might seem to us. There were certain areas in the audit where we performed as well as some of our competitors. And in those areas include our admissions requirements for international students were clearer to understand and more accessible than on our competitor sites. The communication of our extracurricular opportunities, and we did have a good amount of content that was focused on affordability and ROI when compared to our competitors that he looked at. There are some things that we're going to need to that are going to take, I think, a little more effort and conversation and collaboration. And so I've identified these here, that we've got about 4 hurdles that are going to, I think, I don't want to say they're going to be painful, but I think they're going to take a little more work as a collaborative institution to find our footing in these areas. The first is resources. This is a huge project. Our site, he said to me just the other day, is one of the largest sites he's ever looked at for an institution of our size, meaning the amount of content we have is gargantuan. And so this is going to take a lot of human resources, a lot of time and expertise to figure out a balance of how we get this work done in the most productive way possible. So we're going to have to find balance, particularly with all the other things we have going on. There's a lot that this college is doing. So that will be one of our biggest hurdles. Next is the content transition. Some of the best and most critical content we have locked away in PDFs. We are a PDF heavy institution, and we like how they look. They look better than our current web design, and so we use them. The problem is that search engines can't find that content, and it provides for a less than ideal user experience, particularly on a mobile device. And then we have content that's outdated. We have duplicative content and content that's not appropriate for an external audience. So making the decisions about what of our, tens of thousands of pages that are live or not live, but out there bookmarked somewhere, what are we keeping? What is external? What can go away and be archived? That is going to be a gargantuan task for the college. Hurdle number 3 is reducing the number of content editors. Having a shared content management system spread across an institution is not unusual. What is unusual about Middlesex is the number of editors we have. So with over 200 web editors, we have created a site that is full of mixed messages, mixed voices. It opens the college to legal risk. We're not as focused on user experience because multiple people are making pages about similar things. And all of that has a really big impact on recruitment. So our third hurdle is going to be limiting the number of editors, creating some professional development for the editors that we do have, and increasing partnerships with the web experts who understand the science of the website. That's going to be a hurdle that we have to get over, but I'm feeling positive. And then finally, the biggest hurdle that we are going to have and where we're going to struggle most in the consultant's opinion is switching from our mindset from middlesex.mass.edu as an information delivery tool and switching to an engagement tool. And so it's not, I'm sure, going to be surprising to many of you that SNHU performed best out of the 6 schools that he looked at, their site. And part of the reason is because their site is highly engaging. There's actually not a lot of information on their pages. They want you to fill out a form. They want you to email them. They want you to call them. And that's what users want as well. So we're going to have to switch our mindset from this is the place where we house historical information about internships to this is a place where we are engaging our prospective students, donors, and potential employer partners. Next steps and projections going forward. I can happily say that we've already begun some of the content changes necessary based on that comprehensive appraisal. So my team has begun rewriting copy to be benefits focused. So we are changing it from the student will learn to you will learn, or the student should submit the form to you should submit the form to make that switch right away. That's not something we have to wait for a new website design to do. We have begun removing out old outdated pages. And this is something that's not happening in a silo. When we are identifying pages that appear to be out of date or sites that seem to be really old for programs or initiatives that don't exist anymore, we are contacting the department, division, or the owner of that page and making that decision together to remove that content. So I don't want anybody to think that we're wholesale just taking away people's pages. A conversation is happening first. And then we're working with Cheryl and IT to make that happen. And we've also begun with all new content that we're creating, really focusing that content on the external audience and making sure that we have those call to actions very, very clear. So donate, apply, visit, whatever that call to action is going to be for that particular content. We're making sure that that's very clear. And we have begun search engine optimization training for the writing staff in my department. Now, the work that's coming down the pike, if we look at that for summer, the RAP team is going to be developing a statement of work and an RFP to identify a vendor partner to help us with this work. We're going to be having some meetings with stakeholders and the RAP support team to talk about information architecture. That's going to be key, how we name things and how we present the institution externally, not how we see it and how it functions for us who work here, is going to be important for us to get right. We're also going to be creating content subject matter expert teams. So because we're going to be cutting back on the number of people who have the ability to edit content, that doesn't mean that we're cutting back on the number of people who can influence the content. I want to make sure that people who have pages that they maintain, I don't want you to think that you're now no longer going to be able to edit those pages. You might physically not be able to edit it, but you are going to work with a person, an assigned person, to make sure that changes are made in a timely manner. And you're going to be sitting on one of these subject matter expert teams. We're going to be this summer also identifying those web editors and begin training with them. Cheryl and I are going to develop training that not only talks about using the actual content management system that we currently have, but is focused on writing copy for digital viewing, how to make your content ADA accessible, how to use images appropriately, all of that. So we really, those editors are going to be super trained, super users. And then we've also started the content writing. That's going to continue in the summer. We need a lot of new, fresh content that is external focused and really speaks to that external audience. In the fall, we're going to be conducting our subject matter expert team meetings. We're going to be having community input sessions on the design of the new site. We'll be conducting photo and video shoots to start creating assets for the new site. We'll be having an official kickoff training for our editors, and we're going to continue to write more content. And then we'll also be beginning that design work and redesigning of the templates and creating templates for our various needs within that content management system. And then in the spring, that design work will still continue. We'll also be doing some user testing and again, creating more assets, visual assets for our site and more content. The work is not going to end. In order for this website redesign to be successful, we can't just, spend money on a giant photo shoot and then not take photos for another 5 years. It needs to be continually maintained. So that work will continue to go forward for the life of our website. And now I want to open it up to your thoughts, your questions, your ideas and comments. Certainly, if you have anything specifically about the website and redesign project, you can email marketing. That'll come to me and I'll bring it to the RAP group. But this is also your time to ask any questions that you may have about the portal and the phone system as well.
I just want to
chat
add
is open.
thank you, Beth, for all of the work and for Pramod and Ellen for your presentations. We're working through a process to redesign the website in a very inclusive and transparent way. Hopefully you're seeing the foundation and the underpinnings that need to happen in order for that to occur. But certainly today and going forward, as you saw through Beth's comments, that there'll be plenty of time for people to engage in discussions about what the actual website looks like for the students who will be accessing it. We know that if we do not fix and work towards a more user-friendly website for our external folks who are interested in the institution, then we will be left behind. And we need to make some dramatic changes to the way we work through this. I mean, in 2012, we went through this. For those of us who were here, it was the Wild West of websites, I guess is what I would say. So now we're cleaning up the tumbleweeds. We've got to redesign the structure, and we've got to make sure that we use expertise to really bring a visually exciting and engaging kind of site for our future in order for us to survive in the digital workplace. So I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts and comments are, either about the process or design, things you are currently frustrated with that we have not heard about. Anything you want to share, that's what this time is for, and ask any questions about some of the changes that we've been talking about to the portal, the phone system, or the website
She
itself.
starts praying that God would restore.
The chat is open, or you can use the hand raise emoji to raise your hand.
And to my fellow RAP folks, if there's anything you think I missed or anything you want to add, please jump in. Again, I cannot tell this room how grateful I am to have all of those folks from across the college helping with this process.
Rob?
All right, to kick things off, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
So when you said streamlining admissions, can we assume that that includes the ability for prospective students to find programs and courses both by subject groupings, as well as alphabetical? Because a lot of times the alphabetical name, like for example, sonography, is under DMS. That's a simple example, but and also credit versus non-credit is another distinction where people want to be able to come in and could be served by all different, or now that it's totally separate. So I just want to make sure when you admission streamlining included those ideas.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. One of the problems that our current site is facing, and honestly, a lot of the challenges with the current admissions content came from COVID, right? Because remember, we went to serving students in person and on the phone to all of a sudden having to have everything online. And so it became, like this cauldron of stuff. And with that, we've given our students dozens more opportunities to click than is ideal, and it can get them lost. So that will be part of it. We'll be making sure that there is a really directed path with only the options they need to see that point them directly to the program information they need. And this is going to, I would imagine, we haven't talked about this yet, but I would imagine that this would include creating a series of program pages for things like sonography that live in between the admissions page or that search and Accolog, right? Because right now, everything is in Accolog. Some programs have created, forward-facing program page content, but not all of them. So I anticipate that we'll have to create that for all of our programs. That is a stopgap before we get to Accolog, when there's all kinds of information that is a little too more technical and not necessarily what someone on an initial search needs. I see Jessica has a question about choosing copy editors. Yeah, so that the RAP team has made some suggestions based on who is currently a really active user and who is we think would be a good fit. And then we're going to reach out to the different departments and divisions and get the supervisor's input on what makes sense. So, I mean, I anticipate that if you are a pretty active, solid user now, you would be considered somebody going forward. With our 250 editors, I mean, we have admins who are trained and they edit a sentence once a year. So we don't need them to continue being an editor because that's a waste of their time. So what would happen is some of that other work will then move to that group of 15 to 20 content editors. So my team is going to get some more staff resources to help with this. Cheryl is still going to be available. But the editing work will be done by fewer people. But if you're interested, Jessica, certainly talk to your supervisor.
Ashley, go ahead.
Hi, I'm not sure if this is related to the website, but since we are talking about admissions, so I noticed that, and I think it was Camille that actually gave me this idea first, that when she goes to high schools, like high school students are able to just use the QR code to like apply it like on the spot and even financial aid and things like that. So at the open house, we don't get like program sheets anymore like we did in the past. So when we had the prospective students coming, I was like on the phone with them, like showing them how to get to the website. I think if each program had like a QR code on the table for people to just scan instead of us like writing things for them, that would be helpful.
Yeah, we can certainly look at that. The college does have a set of QR guidelines and policy in place. Caitlin, if you could look for that URL to plop into the chat. We can create QR codes. We have a paid system for the college that allows us to track the metrics of the QR codes so we know if they're actually being used. And it also allows us to change the link on the other end. So most of you are probably familiar with making a QR code for something, but if you do that, you know that that QR code graphic is stuck to that link forever. Well, we have a paid service that allows us to change that on the back end so that if something changes, we can reutilize that link without having to redo printed materials or things like that. So we absolutely can look at providing more QR code options for events. Not a problem at all. We just want to make sure that the information on the other end is correct, updated, and accurate and optimized for digital viewing.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Hallie?
Thank you. Thanks, Beth and Caitlin and everybody. This is really exciting to see. I have actually like 4 short questions. One of them is maybe you don't know is what is the timing. I know it's a lot of work, but I just wanted to know if you have a rough idea of the timing. My other questions were about access to editing the pages. I'm very fortunate. I received training and I update my paralegal page regularly. Is it still the idea that program chairs can access their own pages as we roll this out so that like if something's coming up, I don't have to go through someone else to update it. I can just update it as I go with student events and information. And then the last question goes a little bit more to substance, and maybe it's premature to ask this right now, and that's fine. We can come back to it later, which is something that I've seen on other schools' websites that I really like is having videos embedded in program websites so that when I go to like other paralegals pages, there's a video of the program director being like, hey, it's me. Now you know my face. And then similarly embedding videos from current students and alumni, just talking about their experiences. That's something that we can think about doing and embedding on our program pages as well. So thank you for entertaining all of my questions.
Yep. So timeline, still a little bit up in the air. We won't have a good sense until we know exactly what vendor we end up going with. I think what RAP is currently talking about is sticking with Modern Campus, who is our content management service provider. I don't want that to scare or panic people. They are not the people that made our site work and function the way it currently does. They built that to the specifications of the MCC project managers 12 years ago. They are the best provider in this space in higher ed. They do the majority of the college's websites in this country. And so we're hoping to be able to continue with them, but to get an upgrade, to have more say and input on creating more flexible templates, more heading options, more ability to include larger images, things like that. The look and feel we have now has nothing to do with the actual software. It has to do with some decisions that were made 12 years ago. So If we can stick with OU campus or modern campus is Omni campus, they've changed names a couple times, then I think it could move faster than if we had to go to find a whole new vendor. So we have some conversations with modern campus in the next couple of weeks to try and make those, to ask those initial questions and make those determinations. So then we'll have a better sense of timeline. Your second question, I don't know the answer right away if the chair will still have the ability to edit their own content. Certainly internal intranet content for students, yes. Current students, yes. Absolutely. External facing content, it might be a situation where you would work with someone on the web team to make that change in a quick manner. It's not going to be 2 weeks. It would be within, 36 hours if a change had to be made. But the reason that it's important to make sure that it's not just a content expert making the changes is that there is a science to the structuring of the content, to how links are, presented, all of that is going to impact search engine visibility. So I don't know yet. We have to talk about that. I imagine in some cases, Hallie, it could be that for some programs, yes, it's the chair because you're good at it, you're comfortable with it, but other programs that might be smaller or the person has no interest in it, that might be an admin. So we're not wholesaling at this point, wholesale saying that no faculty aren't going to be able to access content or no admins aren't going to be able to make content changes. We're going to make the decision based on what works best in that situation. And then I'm sorry, what was the third one?
Videos, content,
Oh, yes.
all that.
Yes, no, that's absolutely going to be part of it. Right now our current template does not easily allow for any of that stuff. It is awful. I'm just going to say it. And I know IT is sick of hearing people complain about, how come I can't have a giant video, or I want 10,000 images, or I get it. So that is going to be something that is prominently built into the new design for easy plug and play type stuff.
Yeah, and Hallie, I want to applaud you for the conversation, because I think the thought process that we are going to need to go through as an institution is one that's going to be critically important in the future to clean this up. And that is what's really valuable to external folks who are thinking about coming to the institution. Sometimes there will be a crossover in some of the things that you are talking about that you think is valuable to your current students that may also be valuable to prospective students, right? So those conversations are going to be really important to the design template going forward. So there has to be some level of flexibility, but we want to keep asking ourselves, the website and what we're trying to do publicly is different from the internet and what we're trying to really provide information, because that intersection of those problems is why we are where we are today. And again, it's no one's fault. It's just a matter of we have created something that isn't particularly user-friendly internally and isn't particularly attractive or user-friendly externally, because we've tried to make one thing be the same thing for everyone. And that we are going to have to change our mindset about how we do it. But I do appreciate your comments and your thinking about how video and current content can really drive families and students to our site. And that is an important piece for us to consider.
Absolutely. I think Marilyn Glazer put in the chat about the concept of language that is easily comprehensible to non-native speakers. Yes, certainly on the internet portion that is going to be external facing, that content needs to be drastically simplified. Absolutely. And that is something that my team has begun to do as we're updating pages and creating new content. We are simplifying. And we will be employing tools to help us grade and rate the complexity of our language. as we go about this, this process to make sure that, we are not overcomplicating things for sure. Yep.
I haven't seen any more questions come in to me, at least.
Wow, that's shocking. It's not a quiet crowd, so you usually have a lot to say about this. This is probably, besides our physical plant, the second most, if not the first most, we could all argue, the primary sort of effort that needs to happen for us to transform sort of enrollment and work at the college going forward. So you are all going to be integral to some pieces of this. So if you have any other thoughts or comments at this time, at this stage, please feel free to venture. And even if it isn't really connected, go ahead and ask it, because we can try and take a shot at it.
I did have a question come in. How will the new design impact ability to interact with social media? Will the protocol change for requesting social media presence?
So that's a good question. The new site, my hope is that once our social media will be more visible on our site and accessible from our site. So one of the things that our school does not have that our competitor schools have is an active newsroom with easy to find stories about students and lists of upcoming events and things like that. So definitely, I think we'll be able to have some more visibility onto our social media accounts on the new site. Right now, I think the process for requesting social media presence will stay the same. We definitely are looking at this. So those of you that don't know, Caitlin, our moderator extraordinaire, is also our social media administrator here for the college. And right now, on average, we're a small school, but we got a lot going on. On average, we're posting on our accounts 3 to 5 times a day. And the industry rule is once or twice a day. So we are already over posting and oversharing. And we do run a risk of fatigue with our users. So that is something that Caitlin and I and my team are working on trying to think through and plan through so that we can still get you all as much exposure on social media as possible without turning people away. And some of that has already begun to happen. I don't know if any of you are Insta followers, but if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see that in the last month, we have changed our Instagram posting practices. And we've actually seen an increase in engagement from students. So for us, that's great, but we're trying to vary the material so that it's different on all of the platforms, stagger it a little bit more, and that sort of thing.
Kim?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for everything you guys have been doing. Since starting here, our web pages have been one of the biggest pain point for me. We know financial aid is as clear as mud, right? And add those web pages and try to dig. I can't even find it. It's so awful. I'm just so grateful, and I really look forward to what we can do with that and how we can help both, the internet and the intra and intra. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
We get very caught up in our very complicated legalese, and to have other folks kind of look to say, you don't have to use these 25 words to get to this one point, but we're so used to having to do it. So
Sure.
I'm so grateful that we'll be giving this a lot of attention. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things our consultant has agreed to do, he's going to help with, is to have a meeting with admissions. So a smaller meeting where we do a more closer dive and more industry comparison on the admissions content, and also with our financial aid content as well. So because those are just, we know how important those are, and Scott's all on board as well. Jillian's on board. So we know that has to be an area of focus.
Yeah. And Kim, I really appreciate you saying thank you, because I think we're all very frustrated with the current site, and this is going to be a tremendous amount of work. But we need you to know, and your staff to know, that we know how hard all the folks in financial aid are working to really increase those numbers. I mean, we are one of those institutions where we have a lot of students walking around who have never applied for financial aid or have not completed what they need to. And that's going to make a big difference for the institution in two ways going forward. And it's going to, your folks, the financial aid process is going to be more and more important than ever before. Number one is that if we can increase those numbers, that helps change some of our entry metrics for the college and our success. And that could be part of performance funding. It also now impacts our success funds. And so, there are pieces to what we're receiving from the state that if we could change the dynamic and change the percentage of the numbers of students who can complete a FAFSA, can apply for financial aid, it will be critical, and it will mean money for the institution. Not only money for students, but money for us. And the second part of that is, in order for us to be successful with Mass Reconnect and potentially in the future be successful with what we call free community college in this discussion with the Senate leaders and the House Ways and Means, in order to be successful there, one of the first steps is there's going to be criteria, and one of those criteria is going to be an application for financial aid. And so the tsunami is coming, and we have a website that is not at all prepared for it. And it is a staffing issue to some degree, but it's also how we could use the website to our best advantage to be more user-friendly, and most importantly, around the issue of financial aid. So I appreciate your comments.
Yeah, and maybe piggyback on that, or perhaps having a different conversation. Is there something that we can then maybe do on the side with what website we currently have, or if I can get some resources to help to make it a much better design for now, and simplify as much as we can. So we're already, because I know it looks like it's going to take a year or two to bring up another website. We never have time in financial aid, right? Everything's changing and evolving minute by minute. So I don't know if there's any possibility of working
Absolutely.
with somebody to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We know where the priorities have to be.
So we can start that work at any time. So if you want to connect with Scott and identify a time that you can have your right people in the room, we'll get my right people, we'll get IT's right people, and we'll have a conversation about what we can do in the interim and at least address the content and the copy issues. The look can come later, but as long as the content is correct and people can find what they're looking for, we've already made some progress.
Excellent. We will do that. Thank you so much.
And that goes for all of you. So if any of you have sections of your website that you're responsible for, and you want help and assistance and love, please just reach out to marketing, and we'll help. We love a challenge.
I have a question about the phone system. What will the remote phone system be like for student-facing staff? Will it ring to our MCC laptops, or will we need to use our person's cell phone?
Finally, a question for me.
You feel left out, Pramod?
New system is gonna be so flexible. You can do whichever way you want. You can use your personal phone. You can actually take your physical phone at home and use it as you are sitting at the desk. So there's multiple ways you could use this new system. So it's personal choice how you wanna, or I guess your supervisor, however they want you to answer the phones. But yeah, it would be flexible, many ways.
Pramod, just a quick question. So when this new system comes online, hopefully we'll have adequate, not training, but some documentation about how to set this all up and how to get it working the way we want it to.
Yeah, we will work with Peter Shea in professional development to create the training material for people to use. It would be KB, it could be video, short videos as well.
Thank you.
Yep, great point, Dwayne. We make changes in systems. It's hard. Change is always hard for all of us, but A lot of these changes are going to create increased flexibility for folks like the phone system. It's time. The phone system we have is this replacement option, and going to the cloud is long overdue, as are so many things. And while we have the resources to do it, we've got to commit to it, because that's another connecting line for our students. And so we'll hopefully have clear documentation and videos, and then please give us feedback about whether or not any of that is working or not working for you.
I haven't received any more questions.
No, it's just hard to believe. Hard to believe there are 103 people that are on this and they don't have any questions about monumental changes. But that's good. It's good. And that means that people are sort of ready for this and they understand how important these changes are to the work of the college. And maybe you're just tired. Maybe it's just like it's May and we've had enough. That's also a possibility. So let me just thank Beth and Ellen and Pramod for your presentations today, for the clarity and the continued sort of language that we all need to use about what's internal, what's external, the kinds of changes that need to be made, the new portal site that's going to be happening, that desperately needs to happen, because we've seen, Ellen, when we don't make upgrades to systems, what can happen. That was an amazing sort of day and a half of some quick tap dancing to make sure that we had a system available to folks internally with the portal. So thank you for that. As always, I want to thank Chairman Campbell, who's a huge supporter of all of our work. And so I thank the chairman of our Board of Trustees for being with us today. A couple of other thank yous. Well, if anyone else comes up with a question, you can keep rattling those around your head. But I certainly want to thank folks who, in this really a new change in the system with HR for senior level administrators, those of you who have taken a few minutes to complete the 360 evaluations for senior level leaders, including myself. I really want to thank you for that. Those conversations will happen during the evaluation period, and certainly my 360 will be available to our Board of Trustees as a conversation point for my own improvement over the course of the next year. So while it takes you a few moments to do that, there's deep appreciation for the people who receive that feedback. And it's important because it provides a real conversation for us how we move the institution forward as leaders. So we really appreciate that, your ability to do that and your willingness to take the time to do that. I want to thank everybody, faculty, staff, everyone who's doing everything they can to successfully bring students to the close of the spring semester. This is a time when there's a lot of burnout on a lot of places. It's the end of an academic year. And it's also a time when there's tremendous excitement and celebration for the accomplishments of our students and for faculty and staff. So as tired as we may be, I want to remind us to keep celebrating the amazing work that you all do every day. And I want to tell you that if you are interacting with students directly, whether you're a faculty or a staff member, we are at a point where enrollment is so critical, and summer and fall registrations are really important to us now. We're down in both areas. We sort of had an anticipation that this would be the case. This is happening across institutions across the country, but we want to do everything we can. Enrollment staff and all the people here are doing everything they can, the admissions staff, advising, to support and get students engaged. But as you're working with students, as you see students in your classroom, if you can take a few minutes to ask the important question, have you registered? Have you registered for your next step, whether it be summer, whether it be fall? Because that can make a huge difference. We know that if we can capture students while they are still with us here, capture is a terrible term, but you know what I mean, register students while they are still with us here, then they will commit to that journey going forward. So anything you can do to encourage them to register for the summer and for the fall, that will make a huge difference for the institution in terms of our enrollment, and it will save some outreach that we hope we will need to do less of that over the course of the summer, and making sure that we get students back here in the fall and get them engaged in continuing their journey with us to complete their degrees. I want to thank Beth, you and the RAP team have done a remarkable job, as I've said, in laying the foundation for what is a tremendous body of work. And I think we've done this in a way that we've tried not to make sure that that work gets dumped on anyone else other than the people who really have the expertise in the work to be able to do it. So I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for the plan for continued outreach so that we can use people's inputs to make the work that we're doing, again, transparent and clear and better. I mean, at this point, looking at our website, anything would be better. But we've got a lot of work to do. But I think that we want to engage people and make sure that we're inclusive, but at the same time, not overburdened. So your opinions, your opportunity to send communications directly to Beth or to IT about any things that you're struggling with, please don't hesitate to do that, because it's really important that we hear from you. That's what these critical conversations are about. They're not only critical institutional issues, but they're also opportunities for you to be critical of the things that we are not getting right. And so important to hear from all of you. Anybody have any last questions that they may want to ask before we end today? I want to thank our presenters. I want to thank all of you for your time as always. And please make sure that you join us for celebratory events, including the most important event to all of our students, which is commencement at the end of the month. We thank you for your time. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you today.